Hey, the air conditioning is on. Can you hear the motor? The fan? That's the best I can do for the noise. So, I wanted to let you know where I live. But before that, did you notice this is a different microphone? It is the Behringer. And I took off the windscreen because when I tested it on another video, sound was nice, but it seemed like it was a bit far away. So maybe without the windscreen, it'll sound better. I don't know. So where I live is Japan, if you haven't already figured it out by now. I've made mistakes, I've given hints, and of course I've showed you a lot of stuff from Japan. So I live in Japan. Wow. Japan. I live in the city of Narita. Narita. Mouse. Do you know where that's from? Do you ever say stuff like that? I do. It's the first thing that comes to my mind. So, Narita, Narita, Japan. It's pronounced Narita, but we pronounce it Narita. We, Americans, pronounce it Narita. So, I work in New York, and I live in Narita, Japan. Kind of different, don't you think? Well, all of you who already know me know that's what I do. And I don't know if I have any new subscribers or new viewers. So for those of you who didn't know and are new or don't know me personally, I live in Japan. Narita, Japan. Yeah, Narita, Japan. So the closest airport is Narita Airport. How about that? Now, when it was first built, this airport here, it was called the New Tokyo International Airport. And I don't know what happened, but they changed the name to Narita International Airport. While the original and only airport that Tokyo had was Haneda. I don't know if it was called Haneda Tokyo International Airport or what it's called now, but everybody I know refers it to Haneda. And that airport code is HND. Harry, Nancy, Don. 3 girls, 3 name of women, 3 name of girls, 3 girls' names. Z. Yeah. Henry, because I'm watching this TV series now that I don't remember the title, but one of the main characters, her name is Henry, derived from Henrietta. Do you know anyone by the name of Henrietta? I only know one person, and that is the person that's on this TV show that I can't remember. And of course, I think it's a Marvel series, but it's not something that I know, like the Avengers or Spider-Man or Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and I could go on and on and on about Marvel characters or comic books, but this is a brand new one on me. So, HND, Henry, Nancy, Dawn. Another person I remember is Dory. And the person I wanted to say was Donnan. Do you know a Donnan? I know a Donnan. Do you know a Dory? I know a Dory. And that Dory retired from my company. I wish I could have told her that I'm doing YouTube, but she retired quite a long time ago. So, Narita, living in Japan, working out of New York. JFK is the airport I fly from when I come home to Japan. JFK, John F. Kennedy International Airport out of New York. Now, New York has two airports, LaGuardia and JFK, John F. Kennedy. And I stay with a roommate between LaGuardia and JFK. So I get to go to both airports. So you must wonder, well, since you're in New York and the closest airport I fly out of is JFK, why don't I go nonstop? I don't go nonstop because it's more expensive for me. So I take the long route. I go JFK to Los Angeles, LAX, connect. I have ground time, connect, and then on to Narita. So from the time I wake up in the morning till the time I get to Narita, Japan, it is over 24 hours. And I have a very, very, very hard time sleeping on the plane. So you can imagine how I feel when I arrive in Japan. So I wish I could fly nonstop. One of these days I'm hoping that I could afford to fly nonstop from JFK to NRT or NRT to JFK or both round trip. That would be nice. When I was able to do that a number of years ago, but the economy and prices, this is the cheapest way to go. So when I did fly nonstop, it took about 14 hours to get to Japan, to Narita. And it took about 13 hours back. Now, of course, everything depends on the winds. You've got headwinds, you've got tailwinds. When you've got headwinds, well, it's going to take much longer. But when you have tailwinds, you can arrive almost an hour, hour and a half ahead of schedule in New York. But don't count on it coming to Narita about an hour or an hour and a half ahead of schedule. There's no way on that part. Sometimes you're about 20 minutes early, but that's about it. Now, I don't know if you could hear the airplanes, but there's a jet that's passing over, close to, on the side. I can hear the plane. I don't know if you can. So, is there anything else I need to add to this besides that I live in Japan and work out of New York? Oh, in New York, I live in an area called Queens. Now, that's a large area, but it's still part of New York, New York. And it's one of the boroughs, they say. Boroughs, not suburbs, boroughs. So the boroughs of New York. Now, I could be mistaken, but from what I understand, or from what I remember and understand, is there's Queens, there's Staten Island, there's Bronx, and there's Brooklyn. And of course, there's New York, New York, what do they call it? They call it the city. They call it the city, even though it's an island. Because the island, people consider Long Island, which is pretty close to Queens, or at least, where I live in Queens. And so I used to say the island, and people used to say, "What, you mean Long Island?" And I say, "No, Manhattan." They go, "No, that's called the city." Okay, so Manhattan is considered the city, the Big Apple. I never researched why they call it the Big Apple. Now, that was before Apple computers, I believe, so I don't know, the Big Apple. Well, if you want to leave comments and help me understand why they call it the Big Apple, then that would be most appreciated, because I highly doubt I'm going to Google it to research it myself. Bye.